I know you probably couldn't have heard me in that thing. Alright, today we're talking about Scream 6, directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, starring, of course, Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera as the main characters. I feel like with these movies, there's not too much that you have to say, especially when it's something like the sixth sequel to something, because the stories are pretty much the same every time. And it's really the kills and kind of like the characters that is what makes them what they are and makes them fun to watch. And I do have to say that I really enjoy these cast of characters. I like the characters that were introduced in Scream 5 and of course made it over to Scream 6. I like Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera's characters. I like the brother and sister characters. I forget their names. I really like what they bring to the table, and I think that their chemistry together is really fun. It's really fun. I like them. The kills in this movie were great. There were some that weren't necessarily traditional. I'm not going to go into the details of those kills because those would be spoilers, but there were a few kills that were a little extra or just different than what you would usually expect in a slasher movie, and I liked that a lot. I liked that this movie didn't rely as much on legacy characters from previous movies. And for the character, there was Kirby from Scream 4, I believe, is in this movie instead of Sidney. Sidney and Gale and Dewey were actually in Scream 5. And basically what I'm trying to say here is I'm happy, because Sidney's not in this one, I'm happy that they didn't rely on legacy characters as much, because I feel like a big part of the legacy characters appearing in Scream 5 was simply to cash in on nostalgia. And I like that it's just Gale and Kirby in this movie, and they don't rely on them as much. They're very, less involved with the story. There's a train sequence in this movie where there are a bunch of people in costumes of all kinds, including multiple Ghostface costumes, and I think that, from what I remember, something like that hasn't really been done before in one of these movies, and I really enjoyed watching it, because you really didn't know who was who, because all the Scream outfits look pretty much the same. Of course, in this movie, the masks worn by the killers are weathered, and which is very different actually from what we have seen before in other Scream movies. But I just liked that whole train sequence. I think even the trailers touch upon it a little bit, where there's like multiple ghost faces and you don't know who's a killer and who's just dressing up as Ghostface. And of course, this kind of goes without saying, it's a Scream movie. There's multiple ghost faces in this movie, but and I think that this film used the multiple Ghostface thing really well. I liked what they did with the concept of multiple killers in a movie. Anyway, that being said, now we're transitioning to spoiler territory. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, leave now. This is your warning. I really like the cop character. I forget his name or his actor's name, but I really liked him. He was a really funny part of the movie. I enjoyed him whenever he was on screen. A lot of his stuff was over the top, and it was pretty funny. And I was genuinely surprised when he turned out to be one of the killers. Now, in this movie, there are three. There is him and his two children, I guess, which are all Richie's family from Scream 5, which is like, whoa. I think I was just disappointed because Ghostface wasn't Stu, and I genuinely, tricked myself into believing that it was going to be Stu. I liked that there was 3 instead of 2 Ghostfaces this time. Of course, there isn't always 2, but usually that's the expected that there's 2. But I like that there's 3 in this movie, and I loved that you got to see multiple Ghostfaces on screen at the same time. I really loved the whole movie theater chase sequence when they both cleaned their knives at the same time. It was synchronized, and I thought that was really cool. I liked that a lot. I really love Sam's character, and I don't know necessarily how I felt about it when I saw it in Scream 5, how she's Billy's daughter and how she's kind of a psychopath, but I really liked what I saw in this movie because they brought that more into light, especially during the climax of this film. And her donning a Ghostface costume, actually the one of her father, and using it to kill the final Ghostface killer, was really interesting, and I actually think I liked it. When I saw it in theaters at first, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it, but the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think I do like that they did that, because it's not every day that you see the main character of a slasher film don the outfit of the slasher and kill the killer with it. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool, I think. Like I said previously, I like that Sidney wasn't in this movie, but I also like how she wasn't killed, because Gale did die in this movie and Dewey died in the fifth one. I don't always like when legacy characters get killed off. Of course, when it's horror movies like these, usually it's going to happen. But I feel like Sidney is the kind of like Laurie Strode character. Like, I'm happy that Laurie didn't die in Halloween Kills, or Halloween Ends, rather. I feel like some characters, like Laurie or Sidney, should be kind of like left to have their happy ending. Especially because Gale and Dewey died in these past two movies. I'm happy to see that she got out, but she also isn't in this movie at all. She's only referenced. I don't think you even hear her voice or anything like that. I'm just happy that she was kind of left out of this plot and she's off living her life and she doesn't have to worry about any of this anymore. I love the whole inclusion of the theater with all of the stuff from the previous movies. I like the idea that this group of killers like collected, or I guess Richie collected maybe. And he has all the outfits used by the ghost faces, and he has all the knives, and he has different artifacts. Like, I think I saw Billy's old shirt in there that he was wearing. I don't know how Richie would have gotten his hands on all of this stuff, but I mean, it's literally every single like kind of artifact you could have had from these events in the previous movies. He has them, and I thought that was a really cool thing. Maybe it could have been used differently, but I don't really know how I would have liked it to be used. I feel like maybe it wasn't used as much as it could have been. And I don't see it being used in future movies, because I feel like after the events of this one, all that stuff is going to get taken by the police and it won't be available anymore. I would like to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10, which might be a little generous. I haven't fully decided. I mean, of course, it's subject to change, but as of right now, it's been a few weeks since I've seen the movie, and I think that this movie deserves a 7.5 out of 10. I definitely liked it more than Scream 5, I think, but yeah, I like the characters in this movie. I liked the kills. I liked the use of Ghostface as a killer. I thought that the story took an interesting direction, all that stuff. And so if you agree, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too long. It felt long while I was recording it. So I'm not going to talk your ears off too much. If you like this and you want to see more content like this, make sure to like and subscribe. I hope I didn't look too much like a dork wearing my Ghostface costume. I love this costume, though. I like wearing it whenever I get the opportunity to. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night.